I'm really continue to be proud of the work that we've done with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the impact that it had on my constituents, where average families in my district saw an increase of about $6,000 in their wages in the years following that. Inflation was low. I'll put up any day the record of the previous Trump administration with what we've seen, the disaster that we've seen in this past administration. And so grateful to have the opportunity to work with you to extend those benefits once again to every American. And we're hearing a lot from the other side here today on things that just they're falsehoods about the bill, things that are not in this bill. And I just want to remind our listeners what Democrats are voting for by voting against this bill. They will be voting for a vote against this bill is a vote for the largest tax increase in American history, a tax increase that will affect average households at every tax bracket level. They're voting for a decrease, in fact, a 50% decrease in the child tax credit, which is so important, provides important relief to every American family. They're voting for allowing Medicaid dollars to go to people who are here in the country illegally at the expense of American citizens.
Yes, sir, 1.4 million of them.
And they are voting to allow Medicaid dollars that are intended for people who really need them to go to individuals who could be working but choose not to.
They are voting for Medicaid benefits not to go to women and children as they should.
They're also voting against policies they voted for before that will be critical to grow this economy and provide additional opportunity. Policies like full expensing, they voted for that last cycle or last session. Full deductibility of R&D, full expensing, I mentioned full expensing, and then we're adding full expensing for structures, which will re-energize American manufacturing. All of these things Democrats will be voting against by voting against this bill.
Yes, sir.
So I want to again say that we're doing this is going to be beneficial to every American, and we're also doing it in a responsible way by finding savings that will drive more efficiencies in some of these programs, but will ensure that we will not add to the debt, assuming we meet very, I think, conservative estimates on growth. Do you agree with that?
Yes, sir. And to go back to the CBO, the CBO produces a black box. And that black box says the growth is 1.7 or 1.8%, whether we make the TCJA permanent and continue, and that permanence causes stimulus, or, as you said, whether we have the largest tax cut in history, which would be cataclysmic, obviously, but it also assumes no change in growth. So obviously, both cannot be true.
Exactly right. So we're going to do this in a fiscally responsible way. Now, I do have one question for you, and I only have a minute left. One of the things that I was impressed with when during your confirmation hearings and leading up to your appointment as secretary was your 333 plan. And particularly in the short amount of time I have, you have a stated goal at that time, at least, of getting to the deficit at being at 3% of GDP, which I know how much you're concerned about the debt. The Democrats today are raising concerns about the debt. I share those concerns. I think that's a great goal. Do you still hope to achieve that 3% debt to GDP, deficit to GDP by the end of Trump's term?
Yes, sir. It's a deficit to GDP, which the other side of the aisle doesn't seem to want to talk about, or the total debt to GDP, which Secretary Yellen and I agree on. It is those two numbers that matter. The absolute number, while daunting, those two ratios are much more important. And I said that we would like to have a 3 in front of the deficit to GDP by 2028, the end of President Trump's term, which is the long-term average.
And I think this sets.
Gentleman's time has
This
expired.
sets the basis for being able to achieve that. There's going to be a lot more work to do, and I look forward to working with you to achieve that goal. Thank you.